Alright guys, Hunter x Hunter chapter 410, and in case you guys don't know, this is going to be the last Hunter x Hunter chapter that we will receive for a little while. It is going to go back on hiatus. Now, this isn't exactly surprising, and we know that Togashi's been working on more chapters past this chapter, but whenever he comes back from hiatus, he seems to release 10 chapters at a time, as 10 chapters is what is accumulated into a volume of manga. So we got this last time, which is going to come out as volume 38, and the 10 chapters that we just read just now will probably be compiled and come out as volume 39. So that's what's going to happen, and I would imagine that he is building up the next batch of 10 chapters and that we are going to receive that in the future at some point, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now. I'm not really sure, but this last batch of 10 chapters has given us so much. It has given us the revelation that Beyond Netero has subtly implanted his offspring throughout all of the Kakin Empire. It has shown us where Crollo is. It has revealed where Hisoka is. It has given us a lot of conspiracy as far as Hulkenberg's plan and what he is up to, as well as Kurapika and Zhang Li joining forces. Of course, the card game with Morena and Borkson that we finish up in this chapter, and where this chapter leads off, that I think, as I suspected, is leading us into the third and final act of the Succession War, where everything is going to come to a head. All the different pieces on the chessboard have been laid, and we are going to move into our final conclusion. And I think there is a number of evidence that you could say is there to believe that we are kind of moving into our palace invasion arc of the Succession War arc, as the Chimera Ant arc had several different intervals to it. You know, you had Gon, Killua, and Kite kind of exploring the NGL, then you had the training sequence, and then you had the palace invasion. I think now, if you want to look at it as a parallel, I think we are leading towards our palace invasion segment of the Succession War. Now, that is speculation on my part, but I think it makes sense based upon where all the characters are at in the story and how it's progressed to this point. So this chapter gives us two things. We see the conclusion of the card game between Morena and Borkson, and we also see what's going on with this martial law that we heard be declared over the loudspeaker. Now, at the end of the card game here, I'm glad that this was addressed, because I was racking my brain so hard to figure out how Borkson cheated and how that would actually pose an advantage to her. So Morena calls her out right here, just as we suspected that she did cheat, and she did mark the return card, and that's why she crumpled it up, and that's exactly what happened. It's not that it wasn't obvious to us in some way, but to figure out the hows and whys of her cheating and what would ultimately allow her to grab the yes card to say that she will join the Hialee. So it basically just left her with the two options of join the Hialee right now or be killed right now, essentially voiding the game entirely. So the last two chapters that we watched were pretty much more of us as the reader to get inside of the headspace of both of these two characters and see their back and forth dynamic, which I'm sure will continue moving forward. And there is a little bit of a parallel here to Meruem and Komugi, as, you know, we have one character set up as potentially the main antagonist of the arc, and then we have another character come in that they sort of have this affection for that will probably grow over time. Although I see this going in a completely different direction, because it seems like Borkson is pretty much determined to take down the Hialee at whatever cost. So Borkson will be initiated into their group, although there is one more condition she has to meet in order to begin to be able to use the ability to level up, and that's to witness a murder from a Hialee member to somebody else. But Morena goes over the rules again, that, you know, for every person that you kill, you'll gain 1 level. At level 21, you'll get your own Nen ability. And of course, if you kill somebody with Nen, you advance 10 levels in one swoop. And if you kill a prince, you advance a full 50 levels in one swoop. So if you kill 2 princes, you're already at level 100. And once you get there, you become the catalyst that can start your own contagion. So you could be like Morena, sort of like a virus spreading, and now you can create your own group of people to begin to level up. So this is an endless endeavor that Morena is probably hoping on in her quest to eradicate, you know, the world, eradicate humanity, and cause this complete total chaos that she is hoping for. I love this little image of her in the silhouette, sort of like with that rising, you know, Nen aura around everybody and around her entire group, as she is the main defining focal point of this toxic, contagion is what it's called, this contagious ability that's just going to spread across the entire world and destroy everything. So, yeah. Good stuff. Also, Marina says that it's not against the rules to kill another Hialee member if that's what Borkson is going to do. So Borkson has a lot of options here as to what she could do moving forward. I mean, she could go back to her other group of characters that she is from, the friends of Serenich, and try to maybe convince them or tell them what's going on. She could also be working kind of like a double agent from both sides, where she could be taking down the Hialee and taking down the Kakin Empire at the same time. I mean, it would be kind of crazy if she was one of the characters that ended up killing a prince, gaining that 50 levels just right off the bat, getting her Nen ability. And especially that she mentions that she wants to get that Nen ability before they have the opportunity to find another specialist. Well, if you have to reach 21 levels, I mean, the quickest way to get there would be to kill a prince. I don't know exactly what she's going to do, but it is really interesting to throw a character like this into the mix and try to discover what path she is going to take moving forward. But the next couple pages are where things get really wild. So we catch up with what's going on with martial law, and we've been lost in the dark the last couple chapters, not really knowing what happened or what caused this to happen, or if it's Benjamin doing it, or if it's Hulkenberg in Benjamin's body doing it. There's just been so much mystery as to the direction of this martial law, and we get little tidbits throughout Benjamin's inner dialogue as to what's happening. So it seems like, yes, this is Benjamin. Now, at first I thought this was Hulkenberg, because there's a moment where he's like, I only have a certain amount of time. And we knew that when Hulkenberg switches bodies, because Hulkenberg's main body is unconscious, he only has a certain amount of time that he has to get back to his own body for this to work. But when Benjamin is talking about a time limit here, he's actually talking about the fact that he himself has been poisoned. So this was the poison that was used on Hulkenberg's body, this biological weapon that Balsamilko was taken to Hulkenberg for the purpose of poisoning him before Hulkenberg did the body switch. And as Hulkenberg took over Balsamilko's body, this was the question. Was he going to go to Benjamin to switch bodies with him? Which I always thought was a little weird, because they mentioned that he can't decide if he's going to switch bodies or not. It's going to be him or one of his followers. So it's kind of random. So the idea that he would get lucky enough to switch bodies with Benjamin, I mean, that was a risk. That was a very small percentage that he would be able to pull that off. But he could easily poison Benjamin. And I do think that this goes into Hulkenberg's plan. And Hulkenberg is my boy. You guys know, if you've been following the channel, if you've been following my coverage of these chapters, that even though I don't think any prince is going to win in a traditional way, because that's not the way that Togashi is going to write it, if I had to pick a prince to win the succession contest, my personal favorite character is Hulkenberg. And this plan goes perfectly into the strategy that Hulkenberg would have, because I believe now that he knows that Benjamin, if poisoned, would enact martial law, because now Benjamin only has a certain amount of time to win the succession contest. This puts a time limit on it, okay? Because he only has, it's talked about like a couple or 12 hours to 24 hours. Yeah, Benjamin says he has about 9.5 hours, and that's probably of consciousness. And then later, Kaiser says he has about 24 hours before he actually dies. So we do have a time limit on here for Benjamin. Anyways, there's a lot more information here to get into. So number one is that some of Benjamin's men have found the door that leads to the Hialee hideout, where they are transported there. 3 people have already gone in and not come out. And so that's also 3 people that have been killed to power up the Hialee. So yeah, they're blocking off this door, and Benjamin's like, look, we're trying to find the prince. Like, I don't even want to deal with this shit right now. We're trying to find the princes. Keep looking for them. And he says a couple of interesting things here. So he says that Zhang Li and Lucerus are missing, okay? And we know that there was an assassination attempt on Lucerus, or that there was going to be, that Cacho, Melody, and Kaiser were going to put him on a boat and send him off to hopefully be killed by being out of bounds. So did that happen? I mean, we have missed a few things. So is he currently on a lifeboat just kind of drifting out to nowhere? I don't know, but he is missing. As well as Zhang Li, they say that he might have gone to tier 2. Zhang Li also does have connection to one of the mafia groups, so if he needed to escape, he could. But the part that makes this really interesting to me is that this is right after Zhang Li and Kurapika made an alliance. So when it goes to the next page and Benjamin says there's 4 princes left, what I believe that this means is that there are 4 princes to be accounted for. So I think he is basically taking inventory of where all the princes are, keeping them locked down, and his justification for this martial law is that this virus has now spread, that he is infected, and he is quarantining basically all of the princes for their safety, right? Where he's going to go in and investigate all of their involvements and basically probably try to kill them off one by one. And he has a day to do this. As well, he is going to die, right? So he's hoping that all of this happens, that the other princes get killed. He is indoctrinated as the new king or as the new emperor. And even though he's going to die, he has a illegitimate child that would be the next in line to be king. So he's not even worrying about his own fate right now. He is making sure that it stays with him within his particular bloodline. So this is a crazy plot point to pull out. And I do think it's been alluded to that he has like an illegitimate heir. And we just read the chapters with Morena talking about all of those festivals and stuff and how the princes would basically force themselves on people and, you know, that kind of thing. So is Benjamin the kind of guy to do that? I mean, maybe. I don't know. He does seem a little bit more honorable, so maybe not. But regardless, he's got a child out there. So even if he dies, if he is able to be crowned emperor, it's fine because then it'll pass on to his kid. But wouldn't it be funny if that kid was actually Beyond Netero's kid and he just thought it was his kid? I don't know, man. So as he's trying to push all of this into action, he comes across 2 of the Zodiacs here, incredibly powerful Nen users, including Meistam. If that's how you pronounce his name, I always forget, but he's been pretty integral to this entire arc, or ever since, you know, we got into the Zodiac stuff. So I love how the dragon guy looks right at Benjamin, and he's like, "You look rather pale. Are you okay?" And he just has this like, it reminds me of one of those like ugly close-up shots in a SpongeBob episode, you know. He's just like, "I'm fine. It's no problem. I'm fine." So they know that he's sick, or Kaiser knows that he's sick, and Kaiser also has like some kind of ace in the hole that he is attempting to use if martial law was put into place. So whatever that is, I don't know what it is, but there was like something where he was like, "I still have my final stronghold," where he was talking to another character, and he's like, "Yeah, if martial law happens, do this," but I don't know what this is. So he's got something else up his sleeve. So who are the 4 princes that are left to be accounted for by Benjamin? So this is going to be my guess. All right. This is my elimination bracket of the princes, right? So it's obviously not Benjamin because he's the one enacting martial law. Obviously, these 3 characters are already dead. We believe, or everyone believes, that Hulkenberg is dead, where really he's in Balsamilko's body, but that one would be out. He mentions that Zhang Li and Lucerus are missing right now, so it's not them. So we're left with these princes. Now, I believe that Serenich is still in his room training Nen, becoming probably the most powerful character in this entire arc, except for maybe Morena. So he knows where Serenich is. I would also imagine, because they're up on the higher echelons of the Khakeen princes, I guess, he probably knows exactly where Camilla is and knows exactly where Tebepa is. So my estimation for the 4 left to be accounted for would be the 4 youngest after then, because Fugetsu, of course, can move around where she wants to because of her Nen ability. So he's probably looking for her. Miriam, of course, can create his own little pocket dimension, so probably can't access that, doesn't know where he is. As far as Tyson, I don't really have a legitimate explanation as to why he wouldn't know where Tyson is. So this one is kind of like, just based on no evidence whatsoever. But with Wobble, I believe Wobble is probably missing too because of the most recent alliance with Kurapika and Zhang Li. So wherever Zhang Li escaped to, I would not put it past him to have brought Kurapika and Wobble and Wobble's mom along with them, if that's the case. But I don't know, because we missed a lot of information. You know, we missed a lot of things that were happening. But my guess is that these are the 4 princes that are currently unaccounted for, whereas Camilla, Serenich, and Tebepa are probably all just in their room. And then, of course, Loserus is missing, Zhangli is missing. So that's where we're at right now as far as my thought process. Now, what leads me to believe that we are moving into the final act or the palace invasion portion of the Succession War is basically because of this time limit. So right now, Togashi ends the chapter by saying we are 40 minutes into martial law. And if Benjamin says he has about 9.5 more hours to eliminate the princes before he basically goes unconscious, I believe that we are going to have that 9 hours, this final day. I believe, yes, we have speed ran into the final day of the Succession War. I believe we have 9 hours to kill the princes and 24 hours before it's all said and done, and we are 40 minutes in. And I think that this timer is going to be here kind of like the kind of like everything happening at the same time during the Chimera Ant-Arc, except we're going to have more time to deal with here. We're going to have up to 9 hours or up to a full 24 hours, depending on what direction Togashi wants to go. But I think that the timer has started basically to indicate to us that we are moving into the final act, and this is where it all comes to a head. This is where it all comes to fruition. Benjamin is right now desperately attempting to get all of this done in a certain amount of time so that he can kill all the princes and become crowned emperor and let people know that if when he dies, that authority goes to his illegitimate child, all within this time limit. And that sets us up perfectly for the next batch of 10 chapters whenever they come out. So we got to deal with this hiatus now, but this is a fantastic cliffhanger. Really, really exciting to see where this goes. And this is, once again, not even accounting for the Phantom Troop, not even accounting for Krollo stealing the artifacts, not accounting for Silent Majority, you know, all of the other plot threads and mysteries that are going on, not even accounting for that, but directly the succession contest. We now at least have that. We have that timer going off. So yeah, excited to see where it goes. Wonderful that Togashi can deliver us, quality content on this level. The complexity, the amount of time that he must have taken to think out all of these different storylines and character arcs, continuously giving us plot twists like with the Beyond Netero stuff, as well as bringing out minor characters like Borgsen and making them super important, building up our antagonists in Morena, building up our princes here and all their plots and schemes. Just wonderful stuff altogether. This has been a great batch of 10 chapters. I've really enjoyed them, and I cannot wait to see what Togashi does next. So let me know what you guys thought of chapter 410. I really enjoyed this, particularly all the stuff with Benjamin and the implications of what that could mean moving forward. Let me know all your thoughts, theories, and opinions about what you think is going to happen moving forward. Thanks as always for watching these videos, guys. I really appreciate it. Give it a thumbs up and a comment to help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon, channel memberships, and all the social media links where you can follow me down below. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you next time.